Yo, check your mic. Let's test these levels.
Check, 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 check.
Okay, word. We got the sound. Let me know when the break's coming in.
Nah, there's no break. I'm just gonna go straight through.
Alright, kick that shit.
Heaven sent, I can prove this. Any crowd, turn me up loud. KR will move this. Long before Eazy-E, this MC, he was ruthless. Kicking rhyme, spitting rhyme, written rhyme, freestyle. I deuce this. Who's this? You don't know me, homie. I'm the one and only. I turn your tool into a toll. Tell you you owe me. You ain't gotta go to the past to know me, homie. I'm KRS-ONE. My power is now. Eckhart Tolle. These rappers are bony and lonely. I'll catch them coming out of Shoney's. I don't Oscar or admire, they baloney. No phony. I spit for the time from the mind. So when I spit off the head, of course I'm ahead of my time. Yes, I'm better with rhyme, and it's evident I'm the lyrically benevolent kind. This you never gon' find. I'm spitting plenty medleys. This is work, not a job. Rappers are crying like the boss in reverse. They solve. That's when they get robbed and disappointed. They not anointed, get them set up like an appointment. I spit the same heat you like to joint with. Fire, spit the truth, no liar. Heaven sent, this is higher. The mic cooks, I write books. The heavyweight champion. The song becomes a knockout with the right hook. I'm raw, meaning not cooked. These fake rappers heads are down, cause in the face of KRS they do not look. 40 cal style, rap-a-pum like big drums. When I heat up the club to 420, it's done. Light up the teach with the chung. I teach when I come. Knowledge reign is supreme. What these rappers speaking is dumb. It's a treat when I come. I'm not what you used to. I'm the return of Khufu all over these tracks like choo-choo. I'm the guru. So when my teaching premieres, it's gangstar. Hitting you and your man in the same car. These whack rappers, fuck who they are. KRS is like a hooligan. Hitting them all with the same bars. Hooligans hitting them with the same bars. Your whack style just ain't ours. Venus to Mars. I'm teaching with bars, spitting these bars, but youngins under 21 can't even get into these bars. So I don't blame them if they not seeing these bars. Cause when I hit them with my universe, all they seeing is stars. Speaking of bars, when I spit one, you can see it's all about impact over an income. The big one, multi-directional and exceptional. 10 of my first 20 albums are all collectibles. You feel the heat when I'm next to you, truly legendary. Underground, undetectable, and revolutionary. Most of what's going on today, you know we knew already. I tried to teach our people about poverty, it took too many. It shook too many. We can see what a curse is. So I re-emerge to show these youngins who the first is. The minister, frying rap chickens like churches. And the worst is seeing your temperature taken by nurses. IV bags, your family picking out hearses. It's like you at the Barclays Center, you won't survive these verses. Sprite means spirit, so I obey what my thirst is. The whole planet, so-called Earth, is what my turf is.
Hold up. Yo, I got this. Yo, this is about to be fire. Levels is on point. You sound good out here. Let's get this project started.
Yes, indeed, and welcome to another session of the Temple of Hip Hop. We are reading our gospel of hip hop, and as you can see, I'm in a van. I'm in my RV right now, my Sprinter van, and that's because this is a recorded event. This is going to be a shorter read today. Not so much because I'm out of, I'm out of the studio, I'm out of our home, I'm out of a stable hotel and so on. I'm traveling actually right now. But Detroit is on fire right now. Not literally, figuratively. Detroit is really exciting. An exciting place to be at this particular moment. While I'm recording this right now, it's actually the day before, it's Saturday. And I'm right now in Detroit up here. There are two major concerts going down in Detroit at the same time. And one performance is earlier in the day, and it's with DJ Quick, Mystical, Juvenile, Luke Skywalker, a whole host of people. Those are just a few of the names I mentioned there. That happened earlier. Now, Saturday, the evening, after their show, the next show to go down is KRS-ONE, Slick Rick, Rakim, JJ Fad, Chubb Rock, and a whole host of Detroit MCs. The Super MC is up here as well. Not talking about myself, of course. Talking about a gentleman who calls himself the Super MC. In fact, I thought I have his material right here. I didn't listen to it yet. He just gave it to me. But this is my dude right here. I don't know if you can see that. The immortal, the Super MC. And he's blazing it right now. He gave me that and also a book. Want y'all to see that. So check out my dude. He hit me off when we came up here. But what happened was we got into sort of an MC kind of thing at the sound check. We were doing a sound check. I started spitting raw. And the MCs around was impressed. Started coming up. We built a conversation. And this material was sort of the culmination of that conversation. So I'm up here in hip-hop heaven. Big up to Detroit. It is all good. G Simone is here as well. In fact, G Simone, this is one of her shows. She teamed up. Shout out to the promoter. Simone, who's your partner with this? Derek.
And Claude.
And Claude.
Yeah.
Shout out to Derek and Claude up here in Detroit. What's their production company? Derek and Claude. They up here, they put this particular
Return of the Legends.
Return of the Legends Productions. Return of the Legends, they brought us up here. Detroit is big right now. Doing their thing. People are piling out. It's crazy right now. So I'm actually, and also there's a couple other things going on up here too. I don't have to mention that marijuana is legal up here. So they're having a huge cannabis festival here as well. We're not part of that part of Detroit, but we're here. We're all here in the same area, and we're kind of exchanging audiences as well. I'm gonna go ahead and get into a shorter read because I gotta run and go do this show. This is in between shows right now, and one of the things I want to talk about here with our read is that, and by the way, as you can see, I'm in my RV right now. I'm in my RV because it's too noisy in there. I actually could have used my dressing room, but I couldn't. It's actually too noisy. So I'm here in my RV right now, getting it in. And so I wanted to mention that the read that I'm going to read is short, not just because I got to run and go do a concert date, and then travel on Sunday back to Atlanta, and then from Atlanta I go to Virginia, then from Virginia to Baltimore, from Baltimore to New York, and I do the Apollo Theater in New York City, and then from there we figure ourselves out. We got some editing, other little lectures and things to do. Then I'm coming to Pennsylvania, coming to California in Pennsylvania, to the university there. Big up to Kelton. What university? California University, right? But it's California University in Pennsylvania.
Correct.
You can get that twisted. Shout out to Kelton over there. We're doing a lecture and concert there, raising up the hip-hop spirit in that area. But the read is short because I can make one point before I run in here. I can make one point because I can see in the read the point that's actually being made. And what are we really talking about? We're talking about heritage, lineage, and the movement itself, the movement of hip-hop itself. What does it mean to be part of the movement of hip-hop? What does it mean? And so what we're looking at here is that I'm going to read this part from 59, from paragraph 59 all the way to paragraph 76. 59 to 76. And what that's going to do is help us to understand why we are doing what we are doing. That's this chunk right here. And I could talk on this chunk for days, but we got our limited time. This is what it is. But there's this chunk right here from 59, paragraph 59 to paragraph 76. I'm going to read that to you right now. And by the way, for those that are concerned, it is when you hear this, it will be Palm Sunday. Shout out to all the Christians out there as well. Palm Sunday, this is when Yeshua walks in. Yeshua the Christ comes into Jerusalem triumphant in all his glory. And they threw palms on the ground and on him, and that became a symbol of spiritual victory, really. Spiritual victory. We're getting ready to come to the summer solstice where the Christ is resurrected. We're getting ready to come up to that. But the idea of Easter and resurrection and so on, that's what this whole week is about. This is a holy week. So from Sunday to Sunday, just consider that. Consider that. Whether you're Christian or not, just consider the fact that historically, spiritually, this is what's actually going down this week. It's Palm Sunday. Just recognize and know that from a spiritual point of view. You don't have to be Christian or any other denomination, or you could be of another denomination, and just realize that this is just a special week for a group of people that deal with their own spiritual perfection and development. You could join in on that. You could join right in on that. But that's what this week is about. So let me get to this read real quick and get into it. I'm at paragraph 59, okay? After Harry Allen spoke, KRS then stood up and said, I've been attending meetings hosted by BAM, Africa Bambaataa, for this, maybe not the exact same theme, but the theme of unifying hip-hop as a culture. Now keep in mind that the reason I'm saying like this, because I'm talking to Africa Bambaataa, I'm talking to Cool Herc, I'm talking to Grand Wizard Theodore and Crazy Legs and everybody else in the room. So check out my language. The innocence of the language reveals the intent of the culture. That's the point here. Look at this. After Harry Allen spoke, KRS then stood up and said, I've been attending meetings hosted by BAM, Africa Bambaataa, for this, maybe not the exact same theme, but the theme of unifying hip-hop as a culture. That had to be said because the meetings we were having at Zulu Nation was not about unifying hip-hop as a culture. If anything, Africa Bambaataa brought up unionizing rappers so that corporations would not continue ripping us off. We were supposed to have better legal defense, health care, some sort of a pension when we got older. All of this type of stuff is what Zulu Nation and Africa Bambaataa was trying to put forward during that time. But hip-hop as a sovereign nation, hip-hop as a culture, hip-hop as a civilization. This was a floating conversation that this meeting began to crystallize. Everybody at this meeting had this concept on their mind, hip-hop as culture. So, unifying hip-hop as a culture, unifying artists, and notice how this is underlined, unifying artists and having them organized in a fashion where they can control their political power, control their economic power, their creative power, etc., etc. Look at what I'm saying. And I'm thinking about this while I'm saying it. If you watch the tape, you'll see that I'm actually stumbling through this. This is not a conviction like I wrote this down. This is like we're all feeling it. What is the culture? What do we want to preserve? And it was at this moment where people could say, nah, that ain't it. Or yes, this is it. And we're all in a group. And as you can see, the tensions did get hot and did get heavy. So look at what we're looking at. Unifying artists and having them organized in a fashion where they can control their political power, control their economic power, their creative power. Look at this. Political, economic, and creative power. That's the nation right there. What has happened is that over the past few years, BAM would get everyone together. We'd all come in a room and say, yeah, yeah, yeah. Next day we're gone and nothing happens. This is also prophetic. Even though I was there and this is the same thing, I'm saying this in front of everybody too, by the way. We all yelling Zulu Nation, Zulu Nation. Then when the pressure hits, then when the anniversaries come around, then when the money got to get raised or something, when it's time to really defend hip-hop or raise money on behalf of some sort of protest we're going through, nobody's around. And these are major artists too, by the way. Listen to what I'm saying here. Listen. What has happened is that over the past few years, Bam would get everyone together. We'd all come in a room and say, yeah, yeah, yeah. Next day, we're gone and nothing happens. This has happened over and over again. I've seen artists who scream, Bam, Zulu Nation, Zulu, yeah, Zulu. And then the anniversary comes around, they're nowhere to be found. In my opinion, I feel as though in the scheme of African thought, we've always paid respect to our elders. And not that you're an elder, Bam. I'm talking to Africa, Bam. And not that you're an elder. We laugh. It says here laughter. And you'll see in the tape we all laugh right there. Not that you're an elder, Bam. But we've always paid respect to the people who have come before us. Meaning that we could not have been in the situation that we're in unless we at least show acknowledgement. Sometimes that acknowledgement is shown through money. Sometimes that acknowledgement is shown through just basic respect. Just, yo, I recognize. And that's it. Today, underline, the hip-hop community is dying because we fail to have this kind of respect. That's solid. And it's not a matter of any of us going and saying, okay, Africa Bambaataa is God. Kool Herc is God. We're going to kneel to these icons, etc., etc. It's not on that level. It's on the level of before we decided to pick up a mic, pick up a turntable. Matter of fact, before we even knew what it was, these gentlemen were out there doing this and doing that. And we do it differently now. They did it one way. Flash does it another way. Theodore does it another way. Herc does it one way. Then you got Run DMC and LL, and they do it their way. Their way. Then it's Eric B. and Rakim. Rakim's with me right now. Eric B. and Rakim and KRS-ONE and Biz Markie. Rest in peace, Biz. And they do it in their way. Now we're coming into a new phase in hip-hop, which has to do with now the world is doing it their way. This was the first time this is starting to happen, and we're recognizing it and talking about it. Hip-hop is not a New York thing anymore. The West Coast got a piece, the South is bubbling, Florida bubbling, the North, Canada been bubbling, and we're recognizing this, and we're saying, wait a minute, who determines what hip-hop is then? If we don't hold on to the original intent of our culture, of what we were doing, it could just be, anything will just happen. Anybody, and nobody will know really what it is. Even other people won't be able to enjoy it because they won't even really know what it is. They'll just see what the TV says and say, oh, that's what it is. But if you don't hear from the originators, this is what it is, because that comes with power. That comes with the power. This is what it is. Do this and the power comes. Do what they do on TV. You're only mimicking what they doing on TV, and that's corporate interest. We were concerned about that back in 1994 when this meeting was going down. Let's continue. And the difference between, And the difference between what has happened then and what is happening now is that for the first time in hip-hop's history, hip-hop is no longer a New York-based thing. And I don't say that to say that it isn't. I'm saying that to say that the reality that of what I look at now is that when you go to Japan, the Japanese kids are, I'm hip-hop, I'm hip-hop, you are not, I am. You're in my country now, and you can't tell me that I'm not. You go to Germany, this, that, and the other. California, Oakland, the South, Miami, etc., etc. My point is that hip-hop is running away from us before our very eyes. And I used to always wonder, years ago, I used to always say, wow, what was Chubby Checker or Chuck Berry and the Supremes? Remember Diana Ross and the Supremes? What were they doing to now have like a Nirvana and the rock group, the legendary rock group Nirvana? And if you are a black rock group, now you're amazed. It says Nirvana. And if you see a black rock group now, you're amazed. Wow. a black rock group, Living Color, which was amazing rock band, black rock band. We were all amazed. Wow, black people doing rock. That's how ignorant we all was. Not realizing that you made that too. It's just so many white folk took it over. Rock's image became white. And amazing white guitarists, drummers, can't front. Some bands from the Who to the Doors to Rolling Stones to, sure, you can say that they copied styles or did that and the other. That's part of it too. But what they did with it really broadened the art, broadened the style. And I say it's controversial what I'm saying. I'm just keeping it real with you. The state of the world, the way it was, black folk wasn't getting no rights and no justice. In a lot of ways, it was good that these white bands came along and copied the style, because it's the style that is the power. That's why they copied it. And so as long as the style is there, our children can still see, this is what it is. And let me learn the guitar. Let me learn the drum. Let me blow this horn. Let me see what it is. And so on. So we're looking at how music transforms from one culture to the other. But what we're looking at is we're seeing how hip-hop as music and culture, because we're talking about b-boys too, breakers, DJs. We're seeing how the whole culture is becoming something different. And not different in and of itself, different because other people are doing it now, saying they're hip-hop, and they got a different take on it. Some of their takes are really excellent. Others, you're just in this for the money, and we can all see it. It's getting live in there. It's getting live in there. I hear them people in there screaming. You probably can't hear it from here. Chuck Berry and the Supremes. Wow, they're a black rock group. A black rock group, Living Color. Wow, they're black and they do rock. That's the amazement, when in actuality, again, I won't go into that, but we again are the originators of that art form as well. So my point here in starting this discussion is that, number one, what I saw, what I see going on in hip hop is the same thing that went on in rock and roll, but we have a chance to stop it. We're allowing things to happen. We're just allowing certain things to just happen. And we're just watching them, saying, yeah, that's small, that don't affect us. Remember, this is a transcription. That's small too. That really don't affect us. Then, as much as I respect John Schechter in the source, and I do respect John Schechter, he's a friend of ours, friend of the family, as a matter of fact, controversial dude as well. But he started the Source magazine with some other dudes, Dave Mays and others. I used to produce them. There used to be a rap group called Big Men on Campus. I used to produce them. I met them at Harvard. I used to do my lectures at Harvard, and so on. And yeah, you can just go out that door right there.
Okay.
I used to do my lectures at Harvard, and met these dudes, and they had a little pamphlet called The Source, and I talked them up into it, helped them out, paid for some early advertising. I was number 3 on the cover. I think Slick Rick was the first cover they had, and then I was like the second one, but it was like issue 3. That was the Source magazine. It blew up. It's not the only publication I was involved in as well. I mean, I'm not getting into this now, but it gives you some background on what we're talking about. The reason why I say, as much as I respect John Schechter, that's not just as much as I respect John Schechter. No, we worked together and built this thing. But when it was time to invest in the Source on a serious level, I didn't want to. And it's not that I didn't even have the money. It was a hefty little chunk you had to put in to become a real investor. And I didn't really want to do it. I was happy that the magazine existed, and that was enough for me. And to this day, that's what I believe. I never wanted to be part of that kind of business. But John Schechter and I, early days, and with others, we argued together, and you know, I'm thinking of Kim Osario too. Shout out to Kim Osario. Anyway, reading on. So then, as much as I respect John Schechter and the Source for what they've done in rap, now we have John Schechter doing an award show, giving us awards for our creativity. And let me be very clear in what I'm saying, because this is in no way a demise or a disrespect to the source or any magazine for that matter. Could have been any magazine. But the point here is that everyone is giving themselves the ability to define our creativity. And the point here is that discussions and the point here is this discussion, the one that we were having at the time. And the point here is that this discussion, or the point that I'd like to interject into, the point, wait, let me read that one more time. And the point here of this discussion, or the point that I'd like to interject, is to once and for all define hip-hop. Hip-hop as the lifestyle, as the energy, as the way of life, as the organized way of life. And do it in a sense where we can put together a pamphlet or something. That's what this became. And the Science of Rap was like the first one, but the real idea of what we was talking about became the gospel of hip-hop. Pamphlet is something. I don't want to call it rules. I don't want to call it regulations. But I mean, I guess during this conversation we'll come up with something, some name for it, but it should clearly define. And this is not a process that's going to take just today. This is the beginning. We're going to go on, and the purpose for you all to be here is to get several ideas. Ideas as to what you think this certain question, how this question should be answered. The question I'm asking, which is, what is hip-hop? How do we define it? What is the culture? And we're sitting there with Hurt, Bam, Crazy Legs, Theodore, Channel Live, X-Men. All these people are in the room. Jacqueline Hines. Everybody's in the room. And this is what it says. We're going to go on, and the purpose for, I'm reading this again, for you all to be here is to get several ideas. That's the purpose for you to get ideas. We're not just going to say, oh, this is what it is. Let's argue this out. Ideas as to what you think this certain question, how this question should be answered. If someone else disagrees, we should give everyone a chance to speak. But ideas are created out of argument, out of this is what I think it is. Why do you think it's like that? Maybe it can be like this, etc., etc. So as you can see, I'm setting the groundwork for this meeting. I'm setting the tone for the type of meeting we're going to have. We're going to be friends. We're going to be partners, but we may have to argue with each other. And that's what we did. So just to start it off, this book that I'm proposing is to be given to every record company and A&R person in the entire planet, the whole world. We're supposed to get the gospel of hip-hop, but the gospel of hip-hop was produced in 2009, and the entire music industry had already collapsed around 2003. There's only a couple of thousand, and look at this, couple of thousand record companies. There's thousands of record companies that seem to be controlling our entire fate in their hands. There's only a couple of hundred magazines. There was hundreds of magazines. Only a couple of thousand television shows. If some sort, and I'm talking about the world, if some sort of document or book or pamphlet can be put together that says this is what hip-hop is and this is what we think it should be, this book is not something that will last forever. It's like it might have to be revised every 2 or 3 years. This is what hip-hop is now in 1997. Now remember, this is in 1994, but we're thinking about 1997 in 94. This is what it is now in this, that, and the other. We're documenting it now in 1994, and here's the evidence. We're documenting it now in 1994 based on not having documented it since its conception. That's why that line is underlined. Nobody was documenting hip hop and all this in this kind of fashion before this meeting. We have a whole broad range of people who have history in their minds, who have certain thoughts and are pushing the forum forward. And this is the purpose, actually, or one of the purposes of why you're here. Let me just end off and say also, this book, in my mind, will be backed up by force. And when I say force, it doesn't always mean physical, but it means that too. But it doesn't always mean that. It means political force. In other words, there's a point to make to the A&R people who are signing the guys giving in their tapes. Back then you would give a demo tape and so on. Now you email your demos. If you're gonna give in a tape and say I'm into rap if you're gonna give in a tape and say I'm into rap, you have to define yourself. Are you going to be a rap artist or are you going to be a hip hop artist? This is when this distinction was made. Or a hip hop artist, because if you say you're going to be a hip hop artist, well, this little book here put together by the minds of people in hip hop, but by the minds of people in hip hop is what you should know. This will also weed out who's not down and who really is. In addition to that, we won't have these problems that hip hop is having because of rap artists. So this is the main focus of what I'm saying here today. And this is the main focus of what I'm saying here today. Let's stop this read. This is the short read today. We'll continue next week with paragraph 77 because let me just read 77, but I'm gonna read it again next week. The whole point was made from 59 to 76, and I'll get back to that in a minute. We'll recap in a minute. But look at what the reason you stop at 77, or we're stopping here, is because we began to rearrange the chairs. And this is when the meeting really got thugged. This is when we really got into the meeting, when we rearranged the chairs into a circle and started to really talk in that ancient African, that ancient griot de jele, Baba Dread, that ancient, we got in the circle and really got it in. And it's recorded there on film and in our gospel as well. One of the most famous, this meeting was the crucial moment where hip hop actually became a culture. Not as individuals alone saying, yeah, it's a culture, sure it's this and it's that, but you by yourself, you got that thought on your own. This was the first time we all came together, looked each other in the face and said, this is what we think our culture should be. And we argued and said, no, it's not this, and yes, it's that, and yay, it's this. And I took the notes. That's why I have the recording. I recorded the whole thing, took the notes, and we sponsored. It was our meeting. So we have the knowledge we need to have, and we don't need to deviate from it. That's my point about heritage and legacy and the importance of it. See, there's a difference between talking about hip-hop and teaching hip-hop. I'll get back to that. And when we began our session, we began our session by rearranging our chairs into a circle. And when the cipher was complete, KRS continued. Let me start it off with question number 1. Look at this. We're all in the room, okay? With question number 1 being, what in our minds is the most important aspect to preserving the culture of hip-hop? That's the first time that question was even asked. And we documented it. There's nothing before this. 1995, Schomburg Center, meeting of the minds. Everybody's there that's interested in culture and interested in hip-hop as culture. This is not hip-hop as music. This is not hip-hop as dance or art. This is hip-hop as culture, which includes music, art, dance, journalism, thought, language, fashion. And 94 wasn't the only meeting. That was the first one that capped everything. From that meeting, we went to Boston College in 98. I think it was 98. We went to Boston College, had Herc sit there before the first time Herc even gave a lecture at a university, Boston College, 1998, Temple of Hip Hop. Professor Z was the host, Cope 2 was there, AD from the Cold Crush as well, Grandmaster Flash, and myself. And we talked up the history of hip hop right there in front of a packed room of students, about 400 students in the room. That too is documented on tape. Maybe I'll bring it up maybe I will bring it up next week. So the recap on this real quick, and I see that it's getting thick in there. The recap is this: when you speak of hip hop, and you're speaking of hip hop culturally, you cannot rely on a music history. You have to rely on hip hop's actual cultural history, and its cultural history is not known by a lot of people because they didn't do the work. What most people do is they say, yeah, I understand hip-hop culture and I understand my contribution to it, straight up and down. And that's legitimate, too. We all should be writing books on our experience with hip-hop. We should be doing films. We should be telling our story. All of us, everybody who has an influence into this culture, a significant influence into this culture, should be writing their memoirs, their biography, or autobiography, or getting a biography written about them. Record something, make a diary, have a journal. You're so important. You may not be a platinum selling rapper or whoever, but if you influenced your neighborhood to connect itself with this larger culture, then you're somebody we really need to hear from. But here's how you are empowered as a teacher of the culture, not of the music, but of the culture. You have to have the exact words and the exact events, years, dates, what was said, and when it was said. This is the power. Others can make stuff up, but a true teacher of hip-hop has the authority. The authority. You are dealing with the author. You're dealing with the first. You're dealing with the original. Now, keep in mind, others did discuss hip-hop as culture, but that's all they did was talk about it. Keep that in mind. We're not the first to say hip-hop culture. We're the first to make it one. That's the difference. The Temple of Hip Hop and the work that we've done made hip hop a culture. And this what we're dealing with here is the first meeting where everybody got together and got organized. The Stop the Violence movement in 1989 was the music side of it, the rapper side of it. We all got organized. We came together so that you could unite and fight for what's right. We came together so you could unite. That was 1989. And we realized then, no, we got to go much further with this. But everybody wasn't down. Everybody didn't see hip-hop like this. So the ones that did, thank God, was the originators of the culture itself. And so we have Zulu Nation there, and we have Kool Herc there. And Grandmaster Flash wasn't there. He was abreast on it. But his student, Grand Wizard Theodore, who was right there, the recognized father or inventor of scratching, the recognized father of scratching, was there. Crazy Legs was there. Wiggles was there. These are the staples of the culture. Their lifestyle and expression is what millions of other kids took on as their lifestyle and their expression. We were all there. This is the first time we were all there. In fact, I don't even think we all gathered again. We was all, later on in life, of course, we'd all meet in parties and stuff like that. But no, to sit down in a quiet room like the Schomburg Center too, which has its other historical significance, which is why we were there, and sit down and discuss hip-hop as culture coming off the Schomburg Center? Nah, come on, this is deliberate. This is the deliberate building of the culture, and that's why I'm impressing this upon you right now. From 59 to 76, that's the gist of this. You see for the first time these questions being asked. You see who they're being asked to. I'm actually laughing with Africa Bambaataa, with Herc there and Bam and Wiggles there as well. And everyone's there. We're saying, Bam, look, you're not an elder, but he was. He was older than all of us, and so was Herc. But we're sitting there, we're saying, you know what? We got to get this culture together. It's not like we're going to worship you as God, or we all got to get worshiped as God. And he's sitting right there going, word, you're right. But if we don't acknowledge our elders, acknowledge the ones who paved the way for us to do what we do, you dissing your own heritage. And that's why we are where we are today. And I say that proudly and humbly. Proudly and humbly. I'm at the top of my craft today. Others, I'm not comparing myself to nobody, and I'm not bragging whatsoever. I'm speaking the truth. And I'm speaking the results of a truth. And what's that truth? Living your principles. When you live your principles, they show. They show. I'm headlining tonight this date, this thing. Actually, no, I'm not headlining. Rakim's gonna headline. Thank God. I guess we're co-headlining. You know, I go on before him, he go on before me. But Rakim is headlining. I'm headlining my other shows. But the reason I bring that out is because take a look at Rakim. He stood with his principles. That's the only way he could be headlining in 2022 to a packed house. Detroit wants him. This KRS, Chub Rock is here, JJ Fad, Supersonic, they tearing it up. Supersonic, ripping it right now. Matter of fact, I got that right now. They getting ready to go on in a few minutes. I got to get in there and get myself together. But this is where we at right now. This is where we at. And because we're living principles. And that's the truth. We're living principles. You have to be an adult to get into adulthood. It's not just about your rap. It's not just about your talent. If you don't have a character, you'll ruin your opportunities to get your talent, to develop your talent. It's character, principles. What's the meaning of your life? What do you stand on? These are the things that get you through life. And I hope we're showing you that with our very lives. With our very lives. I'm so excited to be here in Detroit. It's so hot, right? It's so ridiculous. Right now, I'm in Detroit, and I'm getting ready to break these people right now. I'll see you guys next week. I'll see you guys next week. Every Sunday, you know, we do it just like this. It's the Temple of Hip Hop. We are, as you know, a hip hop preservation ministry, archive, school, and society. We give these seminars or sermonars any place that we can. I'm a up-to-date teacher, meaning that, and you'll notice this in the teachings I say often, you know, I teach, I'm not objective to hip hop. I'm not objective to hip hop. So I thank you for your patience with me as well. I'm not objective. I am hip hop. So even as I'm teaching you these lessons, I'm going to do these lessons right now. I'm mastering my skill and I'm going out to perfect it even further. I'm urging you to do the same thing. It's a wonderful life when you've mastered the elements of hip hop. Take it as serious as somebody would take a doctor or law, a medical or law degree or architecture or astronomy. Take this as serious as that because it opens doors. It's health, love, it's awareness, and it's wealth. It's peace and it's prosperity. That's what we live in right now. I'm going right now to get my party on right now, and it's actually my work. What better work do you want? What better work can you possibly have to spit your poetry to an eager crowd and get paid for it? We're humbled by this and we're grateful for this. Grateful. And this is what we're teaching our children, that they too can become, because these skills are transferable. Don't let the rest of the world take your heritage and culture, make something of themselves, and you sitting there right there getting it from the teacher, or you yourself are hip-hop yourself, made some contribution, whatever, got a little popularity, something, but yet your children are going to have to start over again because the culture that you contributed to didn't last long enough? Nah, the Temple of Hip-Hop is a hip-hop preservation ministry, archive, school, and society. We're concerned with the heritage that our children and their children's children are going to have as hip-hop in the future. If you're part of this call, you're part of that heritage. You're part of that movement to preserve hip-hop and teach it. Hip-Hop Appreciation Week is May 16th to the 22nd, 2022. We're having a small retreat in Atlanta. Many of you have signed up already. We have a whole host of activities for when you come here. It might be a little too much for some of y'all. Simone wants to actually go hiking. And so if you're into that, we got a whole, but it's part of the health part. We're going to walk through health, love, awareness, and wealth when you get here. So I don't want to dwell too much on it right now because we're still in planning phases and organizational phases. But Hip Hop Appreciation Week, May 16th to the 22nd, 2022. This is the Temple of Hip Hop. I am KRS-ONE. Thank you for learning with us today. Peace. MCs that whatever you do, keep your skills tight, the future is dependent on you. Never spit for only money or what they handing to you. Spit for the people, try to predict what your man gon' do. Get hungry on them, look at rappers with a cannibal view. I roll with an animal crew and we battle the few. But these days I'm spitting in the party after it's through. Cypher style, getting it in with a spectacular view. You ain't attacking the crew, in fact we clapping at you. I wish they would so I could snap these rappers in two. I'll be rapping from the south up to Kalamazoo, smacking rappers around like the tennis rackets they do. I'll be spitting what's legitimate, factual, actual, and true. Put the mic down for another sound I'm not gonna do. I was there in the beginning, I'll be there when it's through. I am a MC, are you one too? What's up, y'all? It's the Blastmaster KRS-ONE. Look, I'm dropping a new album February 22nd. It's on. I am a MC. Are you one too? If you got a chance to spit it, what you gonna do? I'm too hot to handle, too hot for fans too. When I spit my MC like they say, we cram to understand you. I stay hot like the Sudan do. Open your mind, I plan to. With real knowledge, nothing you can't do. Knowledge reigns supreme on these fakers I trample. Show up at the spot while they mumble and ramble. Pull out the wax, burn these rappers down like a candle. Watching them scramble, this is just a little example. The street teacher type, at the peak of hype, the leader type, the street preacher type, culture keeper, divine speaker type, truth seeker type, deeper type, seeking freedom type, the eager type, KRS-ONE, that's what he is like, making sure the family eating right while we seeking light. Real skill when I squeeze the mic, you gonna see tonight. 146 in Broadway, that's the throwback. Broadway RT 86, that's where the show's at. Jump on the mic with no skill, you get your nose cracked. Me, I was drilling them, killing them, man, you know that. All across 110th Street, Bobby Womack. Young and saying, that's the OG, that's that old cat. That's the teacher speaking that new rap and old rap. I'm giving you your heritage back, youngin', hold that.
Yo, peace, this is Son One. We in the studio right now with the one, the only, the legendary Blastmaster KRS-ONE. We're working on his new project, I Am a MC, Are You One Too? I was featured on the Between the Protests album. You might have caught some of the joints, Don't Fall For It, Murder We Just Saw, Metanetta, a couple of joints on that. But this new album, he's formulating for MCs. An album by MCs for MCs. That hard shit. Real raw boom bap. The gutter shit. The shit that we all came up on. The original shit. That everybody loves worldwide across the board. So this is I Am a MC, Are You One Too? And we got mad joints coming on this.
Now, you know, of course, I can use some more kicks. The volume of it, you hear it more, and that's the EQ. Is it two kicks?
It's like a velocity kind of thing.
So, okay, there's that. Boom, boom. Is there another one? Is there another kick?
Nah, that's it.
Wait, just added something. No, give me a kick.
Nah, the drums already gone.
That's the drum. Done. Okay. We need to crunch this move. Because right now the kick is like, whoa. I like it. So the bass, you can cut through the bass.
Gotcha.
Okay. I see what we doing. Oh, this shit is hard. Okay, so you gonna go first, and I'll go. Yo, where'd you get this beat?
I hit up DJ Static, I told him I need magic. I spit that abracadabra, his beat was automatic. He boom, 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 backed it. The microphone, I grabbed it. This combination you basic, I'm about to let him have it. I'm graphic, these rappers wait till 2022 to pick in a blink. Yeah. The fuck with the KRS. Ooh,
that's
son,
what it
I've been
is.
dropping albums one after another one. I'm in my 50s now. Look. This is the name of the new album. It's called I Am a MC, Are You One Too? It's each letter I IMAMCRU, a 1 and a 2. That's the name of the new project. I'm dropping it February 22nd, 2022. IMAMCRU12. Let's get it in. I like the sound of it. Only a few heads ever come around this shit. No getting around this shit, I'm pounding it. When I add rock, I get so beastie, boy. I start growling spit. You drowning in it. My flow is like the OG Kush. You loving every ounce that you get. I made it out of the pit. No clam and no glit. This may be Run's house, but I'm the handyman pulling hammers real quick. You can't touch this with a hand or a grip. Rappers avoiding the smoke like a cigarette after it's lit. I spit the tactical, mathematical, actual shit. After I spit, it's a grip I'm about to go get. Got skills? You a rapper? This the question for you. IMAMC, are you one too? Turn to your friends if they spit it, ask them too. IMAMC, are you one too? And so we're celebrating all of MCing. And the word is MCing. We're not really celebrating this other craziness that's going on, but we celebrating the original art of MCing. Putting words together, metaphors together, spitting movies, as we said. This is what we dealing with. And of course, those bars. We coming with the bars, beats and rhyme skills. Bars. And so this is what it is. IMAMC, are you one too? Yeah, yo, it's all about the spitting. It's all about the freestyle and the written. 2 mics is a tie, son, I'm hard hitting. I'm not robbing, I'm giving, you need to listen, I am insistent. With all due respect, I come correct, ain't no wishing. I shook hands with mics, so now I'm mic gripping. Listen, double metaphors on tours are quite sickening. On TV, everybody look like they hitting. Until we in the club and the dark starts to thicken. The mic is handed to you and your heart starts to quicken. If through a screen is how you seen, of course you winning. But when we listen, you ain't got a pot to piss in. If you searching like Google do for the unusual, this musical music you cruising to, it might be suitable. I'm giving you the boom bap crack crack and the boom boom boom. I'm spitting that shit so rappers don't know what the do. Hoo hoo hoo, they asking while I'm passing. The morning starter, Christos, I speak with passion. Speakers blasting, asking who smashed the party. Then go back to the college to discuss Marcus Garvey. There's hardly a better one, flipping the letter, son. I spit the metal netter, so of course I am the better one.